traditionally broadcasters had to serve everybody, whether that was the local TV station or, going to a behemoth like Disney or CBS or, the big networks. They had to be all things to everyone. Whereas a lot of the successful fast channels are niching down. How can broadcasters started to play around with it on their diginets, the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3s, and some found success. I know at Tribune, we owned Antenna TV, and that was like sometimes our diginet antenna TVs made more revenue than the primary channels did. Are broadcasters really prepared to niche down, and what can they learn from the people who have already done it?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Rob, especially the way you framed it. I think for USA Today, we don't see ourselves purely as one thing. And it's a challenge when you have platforms that purely section things off from a genre standpoint, because sometimes we're news, sometimes we're lifestyle, sometimes we're entertainment. And I think viewers aren't necessarily looking for something in a single lane unless they're watching a sports event or unless they're looking, there's a major news event. I think it's important for programmers to have that flexibility and for the technology to lend itself to that flexibility, because that's where the advertising dollars is. I've heard everything from sports and news are the hottest to they're the hardest to sell to advertisers. I think it's important for brands, programmers, no matter what side of the lens or the screen you're on, to have the flexibility to be as many things to as many people as you can.
On the tech side, things have gotten a lot cheaper. So you can produce higher quality content literally just using a computer, in some cases using your phone, but cloud services, there's all these things where you can create what looks like traditional broadcast programming. So I think that's a way that some of the traditional broadcasters need to think in order to be able to hit more of these small lanes so they can hit everyone.
I was just going to say with the digital platform in terms of categorization that you brought up, Michael, that's one of the beautiful things about digital, right? You can use whatever metadata you want to make your content searchable in the way that you want it. So if you feel that you're straddling multiple genres, then you can code your content accordingly and pull in viewers from who are looking for different things, and yet they wind up the same place.
Yeah, if I could add something, I think I would like to step even one step further back and say, what can broadcasters learn from internet services in general who have been successful? Because in the end of the day, internet has brought us some things that very few, if any, other technology have ever done. One being instant global reach. Yeah, you could argue satellite did some of that, but not in the same way as internet did. The other thing is interactivity. And we often tend to talk about the unicast aspect of internet as a problem, because yes, it renders huge amount of traffic. But all successful companies on the internet have used unicast as an advantage to generate a more personalized experience and to introduce interactivity and to establish a relationship with the users that is beyond the passive viewer. So one thing I think that broadcasters and content owners in general should do is think about how can we use our content and take advantage of these features internet brings, instead of looking at it as a problem. Because quite often we are discussing internet as if it was just another cable and the product is what it is. And I think that's the wrong angle. We should look at how can we use internet to redefine the product. And then we're into what Michael is mentioning and so on, that you need to have a broader proposition, or you need to use different tools and different pieces and put them together, more an internet style service, and try to engage the user. Look at YouTube and TikTok. Their users are contributors, right? So yeah, it's an even bigger question than just transforming. It's actually reinventing partly what TV is.
Well, an interesting thing you brought up was the globalization piece. Yeah, so the IP digital, internet delivery has kind of opened the market. But the folks that are trying to monetize content and channels, they're still restricted by the rights holders. So there's still this stranglehold and geofencing thing happening where it's not really an evolved platform, if you will, where, you know, you have broader global reach, because a lot of those markets now you're walking on different rights holders, just like what you have in the linear world. So until we can evolve that as a new business model, where my rights and my broadcasts from the, you know, North American standpoint can reach into Europe and South America, Africa, etc., and we can get the content really kind of going out there. There's a lot of money to be made out there, but the fact is that we're still kind of like stuck to this DMA technology.
I think, Johan, I think you hit the nail on the head. And one of the things that USA Today has been trying to do is really bring a similar experience to our streaming channels as our readers have enjoyed in online and in the physical newspaper, using QR codes. If people want their news coming in a newsletter to their email inbox, they can use their phone to scan the QR code on our screen. We're running headlines at the bottom of our screen. We're taking video stories that appear in the local newspapers. We've more than 200 local newspapers in the US. Those are embedded journalists in these local markets. The reason we believe our news is unique is because the people telling those stories are part of those communities where those stories are taking place. And I think that personalization and that ability to curate that Johan's mentioning, I think that's spot on. Search, discovery, how you tell stories, and presenting new products to your viewers on screen.